Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bear Experiment podcast. I'm your host, Monica Clavijo, and today I'm here with my very good friend, Carlos, who is going to dive in deep about the latest Hollywood scandal that's taking place right now with the P Diddy. Is it P Diddy? Diddy? Like, what do we call him these days? He's changed his name so many times.
Just for the sake of ease of argument, like speech, I would say Diddy.
Diddy?
Yeah, like
so we call him Diddy.
Yeah, like Diddy do it.
Diddy. We're going to be talking about Diddy, the latest scandal that's happening right now in Hollywood, all of the conspiracy theories that are associated with that. We're going to tie this into the Harvey Weinstein and Epstein cases, which are very similar, how this is all tied in and played into the Me Too movement. So thank you, Carlos, for once again joining us on the Bear Experiment.
An absolute pleasure, Monica.
Really appreciate talking to you. You know, you're a lot of fun. You're a really smart dude. And, you're open to talking about these crazy stories that can be a little uncomfortable to speak about. You know, sometimes I'm like, should I do this or not? But why not? I mean, it's something that's really happening in the world and society today, and we should be discussing it.
Yeah, can you imagine like 200 years after like crazy censorship from like crazy totalitarian governments, and like there's archaeological findings, find a little USB with this printed on it, and they're like, whoa. Their life was so real because we were talking about it in like a real sense, like of like how I perceive it, how I perceive the existential reality occurring around me, and like what I'm reading, what I'm seeing, and what I feel. You know what I mean? How I feel about it.
So what are you saying? What are you diving into right now? That in the future it's going to be a fake reality that everybody's kind of been programmed, kind of like the Matrix.
Like when it comes to absolute control, like. If you have everything running smoothly, then like the whole group of the whole community has to operate at very high frequencies. So any deviance from that would mean that like they would have to be part of like a remedial group or something else. I'm just stating like the nature of evolution, especially with like technology and information for us humans as like the organism that has to still deal with it, that can still deal with it because we invented it. Is the organism like has to kind of be congruent to the speed of the technology of that which is happening. I'm saying like far off in the future, like this is just a speculation on like what could happen in like future at points of humanity. But if they find these videos where we are talking about our experiences and how we saw it as people, like third party, not completely divided from, but not with not a stake on any one of the horses per se, when it comes to these topics.
That was some good weed you were smoking there, huh?
I'm telling you, yeah.
You're just on a whole nother level right now with everything you're talking about. Good. That's why I like talking to you. You're out there with your thinking, you know, and we need to get those perspectives as well. So let's talk a little bit about Diddy, American rapper and record producer and record executive. Right, he was born in Harlem, New York. Where he was a talent director for Uptown Records, which is a very big record label, before founding his own record label, Bad Boy Records, in 1993. So he's been credited with the discovery of such artists as the Notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, and Usher. Now, what is your perspective on Diddy before we dive into all the allegations and everything that's taking place right now exploding? Because I could tell you that, you know, growing up, listening to his music, his hip hop music, his association with Jennifer Lopez, who, you know, young women kind of associated with, you know, she was Hispanic and pretty, and you were like, oh my God, she's cool. I want to be ghetto fabulous like her. And you know, and they were dating, so it definitely elevated her status, but it also elevated his, I feel, with the Hispanic community and Americans as well, right? Just everybody was kind of like, okay, let me listen to this guy. It was just like the big hip hop movement that was happening in the 90s. And I do remember that being a very big kind of thing happening when I was in high school, right? Like everybody was listening to all this kind of music, everybody loved it. You're a lot younger than I am.
Diddy was huge when I was in high school too.
Yeah, so it was okay.
He was still popular, like coming out with fresh stuff. When I was in high school myself.
Yeah.
Like circa 2010. That's the way I see it. I see him from the lens of like an entertainer with like a lot of money and a lot of power, and with that kind of money and power comes like the whole absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Right.
Saying.
You feel that you're invincible. You feel that you can't be touched, and that's what happens with all these people with elevated status. You get that kind of God complex.
Yeah, inevitably it appears.
Right, and that's never good. That's when you get into trouble, because that's where you start getting sloppy. And you know what?
I think it's just freakier, like when they attempt to not like to fake like they're not going through that, like Zuckerberg or what's his name, the guy from Microsoft. Bill Gates, where they dress like they're middle income people. It's like, no, you're not.
Right.
You could wipe your ass every day with Italian shit, and it wouldn't dent your budget. Like, why would you dress like an?
Well, they're trying to affiliate a little more with
exactly.
the commoners.
And right, that's what I'm saying. That's I think extra weird.
Well, but I think that it does work with some people, right? Because you see them and you're like, you look at that man.
No,
look at all the money that he has,
80,
and he drives
myself included,
a Jeep Cherokee, and right, yeah, and then you have the Diddys of the world that are driving around in the Bentleys and the private planes and the hoes, and then you're just like,
it proves the same point that like they're trying to portray an image, and there's a sucker born every minute who's willing to believe that image.
Right.
Like, kind of like, in my opinion, kind of like President Trump, like going from The Apprentice to going to office.
To run for presidency.
Which for him was a joke, because he wanted NBC to pay him more money, because Oprah was, or Ellen DeGeneres, whoever was like next to The Apprentice on the show board, on the show.
Oh,
line.
So he was like, I'm gonna take I'm gonna take this up a notch.
I'm gonna quit NBC and I'm gonna run for president. And it was like it was literally a joke, and people believed it, and now he's running again.
Well, I think that he did have.
It's that same thing where it's like we are image driven in organisms. Like we are our default, like how like cows like to eat grass, and like how fish like to swim in schools, and how birds love to tailgate of each other's whirlwinds to create these little patterns in the sky and stuff. We are pattern seeking animals in that, like, we look at someone who we think we don't understand and see them as either more intelligent or more advanced just because we don't understand them. And it's usually like the bad side. It's because they're so fucked up that we don't understand them, because we'd have to do very messed up things to even be able to comprehend. Like,
well, right now you're talking about that 1%, right, of the world, which is basically the ones that are running the world, right?
So we're talking about Diddy at that point. You know what I mean?
Well, we're nobodies. We really are. I mean, if you really look at the grand scale,
I think honestly, we, like, as survivors, like the amount of cataclysmic events right now, we are the extinction event of like things that like are like making everything die off. And the fact that we are still alive, it makes us like the 1% of
that are going to be able to keep
species that have existed ever. Out of 99,
acknowledgement.
Out of 99% of the species that have ever existed, those are all dead. We are 1%. 99 are dead. 1% is still alive, and it's the iteration of this moment in time where we are. So essentially, everybody's famous, but we're all like blessed. You know what I mean? Like, we're all in it. We're all seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I understand where you're going with it.
But I do feel like there is kind of like a schism that happens. Sometimes it's quite literal, like they're missing a frontal lobe area in their brain, so they're complete psychopaths. And because of their behavior, they can get an edge on society because they're always stealing from someone or like maneuvering their way to get
Like who?
money.
Give me an example.
Jeffrey Epstein. He was never college educated.
That's true.
He like
It was just
snuck
because
in,
right.
He just snuck in.
Okay.
And that's not like an isolated incident. That is the norm on CEOs. Like there was I think it was like a Harvard study or a Stanford study that did a psychiatry test on all the CEOs in the major 400, major 500 or whatever, major 400 companies, Fortune 500. And they all tested positive for psychopathic behavior. And the more that they tested positive for psychopathic behavior, the more that they were seen as excellent for those same type of patterns. Like lack of empathy was seen as cunning and like risk taking. Like they had like literal surnames.
Similarities to right to so that's interesting because I do think that anybody that's at that level of stature,
Absolute power coach,
okay,
absolutely.
and like there has to be something a little off with you in order to be able to have kind of that delusion to say I can get there. Because even if you come from a family of position and power where it could be a little easier for you to step into that front line, there has to be something about you in order for you to maintain that status. If not, you're going to be like another Biden, the son. What's his name? The idiot. The
Hunter
son.
Biden?
Hunter Biden, right? Like, the guy has had everything hand-fed to him.
He's just making selfies, doing crack.
It's like, stop it. Stop. What are you doing? Like, you've been given a golden plate and you're pissing it away. What are you doing with yourself? And it's just, it's very sad when you see that happen. And then you also have to question, like, how much pain is this kid really under, right? Or this human being for you to be given this gold plate in life and this, they skip you to the front of the line and you're throwing it all away. I can't imagine that you're doing that deliberately.
Yeah, that's when I started thinking about like the yellow rubber ducky really hard because I think like it's all like a mental exercise. If you think about like everybody could kind of like being in line with like what they're doing, and I do feel like that's where the military comes into like psyops, like people like influencing like the FCC, like the way that they deliver certain things. I think has to do with that. Wait, why are we talking about this? What
I don't know.
Where are we getting?
You've just gone on this tangent about the future and how we're holding all this information.
Okay. Oh yeah. All right.
And you're all over the place.
Wait. No.
But it's interesting. I just let you talk.
I remember where we were. We were at why do people in power end up having all this like what can be classified as like mental health issues.
And what are the common characteristics that all of these people that are in power seem to have, even though they could be
sense of divine justice, like and it could be manifested as like depression, ADD, like all like some of them like they have like they take Valium to be able to achieve that level of like
focus.
No, mental ignorance, where like they are unsympathetic, or like Xanax or like barbiturates, where they're literally, or like alcohol even, like where they're literal alcoholics. Where you just they find a way to detach themselves from the feeling of when they are stealing or when they are doing an act that is hurting others.
So, like for example, a Ted Bundy, that
Oh no, I think his was like an intellectual, perversion.
But like there had to be a level of detachment that he had in order to be able to commit these horrific crimes, right? You don't think?
Yeah, but
or you think it was just like a perversion? He got off on it. I don't think he did it
under the influence of anything, though.
Oh no, but then, are you saying that the only way that you can achieve that is by taking something?
No, I'm saying that there are cases of like
right.
where it's like very common actually. Like most people are medicated.
That is very true.
If you just look at statistically like where we are
Yeah.
most people are medicated on with something or self-medicating. I mean, a lot of instances of self-medication.
100%.
You know what I mean?
The majority of the people that I speak to are doing some sort of self-medication, whether it be drinking, whether it be consuming, marijuana or benzos or, psychedelic drugs, antidepressants. Everybody that I know
We're in Miami.
is on
you gotta
something.
pay respects. You gotta pay respects to what built this city.
Drugs, that's true. Cocaine. But I think cocaine has kind of died out a little bit.
You think that? But that's because
At least in the
never was a huge thing.
Listen, what are you talking about?
The CIA made it a huge thing.
I don't know
And
about that. You're a young kid.
That reverberated through the 80s and the 90s.
You don't even know.
I know completely. I'm telling you specifically the contrast, all that. That's what made Coke bad. I feel like, honestly, I don't think it was that much of an issue. In the 1920s, it was perfectly legal. You know what I mean? Like, it was in Coca-Colas.
Listen,
As
again,
a matter of fact, Coca-Cola still has cocaine in it.
yes,
Did you know
I
that?
know. Very, very little, but yes,
no,
it does.
but not the act of cocaine, but like everything else. Like the act of cocaine, they distill that out and they send that to like police stations to have like a sample to test against. So there's like this
Listen,
whole...
anything that's associated with drugs is whatever the government is banking on and just feeding their own pockets, and it's for selfish behaviors, right? Because you cannot tell me that an antidepressant is going to do better to a person than, for example, smoking marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
That's from the earth, and, in normal quantities could be very soothing and calm you down and relieve anxiety. The problem is that everybody's just getting fucked up and stoned 24/7, and then they take everything to another level.
I think that is like a lack of education. That we like when the state of psychoactive administration is left to the individual with the footnote that drugs are bad,
right?
And then and now you figure out living in a society full of technology that your organism hasn't even evolved to understand because it happened in your lifetime. You know what I mean? So like I do feel like there is ignorance when it comes to that, like in a very huge aspect that like. And that's where people end up getting raped and stuff, where it's like they don't know what they're taking, or they don't understand like, oh, this feeling isn't what I was just taking. This is something else. They don't have the resources. They don't have the tools.
I talked to some millennials and Gen X's, right? X's, right? Yeah. That's right around the same time frame, and that's the and again, remember I'm Z, so my circle's a little different these days. But
I'm 92. What am I?
92. You would be I don't know. Like we would have to Google it.
Millennial, right? No,
you're not a millennial. You can't be. You might be. You might be a millennial. You are. You're a millennial. You might be a millennial if you're 92. Did you find it?
I'm Generation Y.
Generation Y. Like, why the fuck?
What the fuck?
Like,
I've
why
never
the fuck?
heard of Generation
I don't
Y.
know. Listen. We're gonna double check this in a little bit, but let's dive into Diddy, right? That's what we're here for, because we can talk for 5 hours.
Yeah, so
about
absolute
everything
power
that's
corrupts absolutely.
Right.
And I feel like this is one of those instances where it's like it's gotten so bad and he's influencing so much that like the government kind of had to flex its arm.
I don't know if it's that necessarily. I just think that it could also be that there's a lot of people that have these sexual fetishes where they don't want anybody else to know about it, right? Like, I'm gay, or I'd like to have sex with sheep, or, as disgusting as it sounds, I enjoy little children, right? Like, it happens. And people can't talk about that because it's very frowned upon I mean, pedophilia, obviously, you should get, like, castrated for that. But there's a lot of people that do follow, that lifestyle. And obviously, nobody can find out about it. So these circles of elite, where people are getting fucked up, they're doing drugs, they're invincible because they have all this money and all this power. All of a sudden now they're participating and they're making it happen with a lot of underage women, men, which is exactly what's coming out right now. But going back to what you were saying earlier, technology is kicking in, right? So now everybody's got a phone, everybody's got a video camera, everybody's recording you doing everything. Yeah. And somebody found those videotapes. And I think that that's where the problem is. It's like, how many people in high positions or with family members of very high political positions and money, why is this doing that? Of very high political positions and money, all of a sudden now taking a shit because they're like, what the hell was I doing that night? I can't even remember. That's how messed up I was. Right? So that's kind of the stuff that I think is happening right now in this whole Diddy scandal, with lots of money, right? Because it's, it's going back to the Epstein files and Jeffrey Epstein files, where you had royalty involved in that, for God's sake, and it's like, and you go back to the olden days, right? Back in the day, where
probably way worse.
Men were having sex with 13-year-olds, and they were marrying them and having children with them.
Like fucking their own children and shit. Yeah.
But obviously times have changed, and that's very frowned upon these days. So it would be interesting to see what's going to happen when these tapes come out, if they do come out, right? Because we're still waiting to see what's happening with the Epstein files, and that's still being locked in because there's so many famous people associated with this, starting from the top with the Clintons, so okay, so let's go into P Diddy. So P Diddy in the 1990s and 2000, Diddy was a figure of enormous power, not just in hip hop, but in the business and entertainment world. In recent months, however, multiple people have sued him, saying that he used the influence and wealth to sexually victimize and, in some cases, traffic them, avoiding consequences for decades. Those allegations first came to light in a series of recent lawsuits, several of which included brutal and disturbing details. Diddy raped them and, in some cases, trafficked them by causing them to engage in sex with other men. Together, the cases have redirected public attention toward long-standing allegations against violence against Combs, and have led to some brands to cut ties with him, including Hulu, to scrap his upcoming reality show, which I'm sure he was getting paid a shitload of money for that. So that's where we're at with that. The lawsuits. The first one, the big one to come out. I mean, listen, before the lawsuits even came out, like his wife, right, who passed away mysteriously, who there was rumors about her having a book that she was going to talk about, right? And then all of a sudden she passes away. Completely healthy woman, never been sick, mother to his children, beautiful woman, passes away.
How'd she die?
I don't know. I would have to Google it. It just came to mind right now. I hadn't even written about her because, she's already passed away. But there's a lot of talk and conspiracies around that also. Like with everything that's happening, what happened to his wife, Kim, I think that was her name, Kim. And she just passed away, and she was with him for decades. He cheated on her. He did everything, but she was also living La Vida Loca with him, right? Like she was living the high life. And at that point, you tend to look the other way also when you're living that status as a wife. So then his girlfriend, Casey, right, who was the first lawsuit filed in November of 2023, okay, she dated Combs and was signed to his record label. So she was, apparently she was good. I don't know. Do you know who she is?
Who?
Casey.
Oh, yeah, Cassandra.
Esa. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know who the heck she is.
Cassandra Ventura.
Okay, that one. All right, so when you know, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So she experienced years of abuse from Combs, starting soon after she met him in 2005 when she was only 19 years old. She says that he beat her repeatedly, at one point kicking her in the face, and later in 2018, he raped her. She also said that he trafficked her by forcing her to have sex with sex workers in different cities while he filmed her and masturbated. She tried to delete the photos and videos afterwards, but Combs retained the access, at one point making her watch a video she thought she had deleted. What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, she was over 19, or whatever.
Over 18,
Over
right?
18.
Like 18.
So
is-
that's not a case of pedophilia, I think. It does sound like she was kind of just allowed to go run away with a circus clown, which is basically a glorified version of what he is. He's an entertainer. So a 19-year-old girl run away to the circus, basically.
Right. Yeah, you're not a baby, right? You're not 12 years old. You're not. You're young, but then again, it's like there has to be some form of enticement also that's appealing you to that lifestyle, and maybe it is, the private planes and the, limousines and all the fast parties that you're going to be attending, and now all of a sudden you're being forced to do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah, and specifically in that industry, like, he hasn't always been like millionaire. The first time that he made a bunch of money, he probably spent it right away, and like acquiesced a bunch of debt, and that's probably around the time that he met her. Like there's like ups and downs. Like there's like money goes missing, like a thing doesn't go through. So there's like high energy, high stress in the industry.
Right.
And I feel like he was 37, she was 19 when they met or whatever. That makes perfect sense. It's like he probably.
Do you think that's a big age gap in a relationship?
Yeah, definitely. But honestly, I feel like once you're 18, you if you want to go have sex with a 60-year-old woman.
No, I get it.
or a
I get
man,
it.
you
But
should.
do you think that you can have things in common with somebody with that age gap, right? Like, let's say you're a young guy. How old are you?
31.
31. So you're a baby. So let's say right now you meet a girl that's 60.
60?
Would you do it? Like a really hottie. Like a hottie.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right?
yeah.
You would be all into it. Now, what are you going to have in common?
That I'm gonna be her sugar baby.
Like I ain't working again? What do you mean?
No, I mean, I would imagine, right? If like some banging hot like mama is coming at me, like it's not because she's broke. Because I don't have money. You know what I mean? So.
Not yet. Wait till these podcasts are taking off. You're gonna be loaded.
You're gonna have to check my inboxes. hope I don't get doxxed again. But yeah, definitely. I do feel like age shouldn't make a difference when it comes to relationships, but it ultimately kind of does. At the end of the day, like,
Well, I think that the reason why it has to have, or it would play any type of effect with a big age gap, is because what kind of similarities are you going to have, right? Like, one of the biggest...
honestly, a horniness, I think, is just like,
right.
big
Okay,
enough.
sex. Okay, very common, right?
That's the main one, right? That's
Yeah,
why
but what
like, an
about-
older person gets with a younger person because they are sexually attracted to them.
But then what about when you don't want to have sex? Because you're not going to, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but you're not going to want to have sex every single day when you're married. So at that moment, when you don't want to have sex with that person and you don't have anything in common with that person, like if I like to water the plants or, shit that old people do, I don't know, I'm not old yet like that. I wouldn't know. I want to wash my car.
I don't know. I think it's like part of like I think the best couples are the ones that have sex like 5 times a day. Like,
Yeah.
like you can see it. It's
Yeah,
like
but as you get older, that's not happening.
I beg to differ. I've met the old perverts. Like I know them. They're like, oh, I know them. You know what I mean? Like and I feel like that it's just the nature of the beast of what you are. Like you have kind of like exercise. Like if you exercise enough and you have a perfect freaking body, everything works well, you should naturally have a strong desire to want to bang another human being. Like that's just your body working well.
But I think that takes place also more with a male than with a female. I don't think that women are kind of like
I don't think so.
bred that way.
I think it's regardless.
Yeah.
It has more to do with discipline, like how disciplined you are. Like if you're highly disciplined, you might as well be a castrated, neutered. What are they called?
What do you call disciplined? A person that's
discipline is
monogamous
someone like people who actually never masturbate or never have sex out of wedlock. Like people who actually, you know what I mean? Like, and not just like talk about it, but who and
But you know what? For somebody that's so spiritual, such as you are, because you really do talk about a lot about the spiritual realm, and I love that about you. You know that by not masturbating and not climaxing, you're actually holding in that energy and able to manifest better.
I absolutely believe that for sure, but
I choose not to follow it.
no, yeah, I do, because it goes back to the like absolute power growth. Absolutely, I feel like it's better to like relate to the common man. Like it's easier to relate to my brother than to relate to like the Farsi or the priest that doesn't masturbate and it's like, oh, I'm married to God. It's like, okay, that's a nice life, but like in
Can I do
in
it?
in
Am
real
I
life,
capable of doing that?
in actual reality, in puberty, you have to masturbate. You have to develop, and that goes further into adulthood. Like you need to you need to use your organs to clean them. Like if the lack of use, it might be good for. And it makes it, and it's not such a good thing actually, because it creates like a sense of sexual desire towards a person. That's why like a bunch of those priests are pedophiles. It's like, yeah, it's like actually masturbating reduces pedophilia by a lot. Like, and that's like a statistic. You should look that up. That's one of the things about pedophiles. They don't masturbate unless it's two. So it's like this buildup where it's like you have this energy that like I don't think people are honestly designed to operate under unless they're in some sort of like scribe position or holy man position where they're part of a temple that are part of an image formation system where they're willing to die of prostate cancer and not care. You know what I mean? Because that's ultimately what happens when you have buildup of
Right,
of
that you don't release.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all over the place with the way that we're talking right now. Let's get to number 2 that I have for the lawsuits, which is Jane Doe. We don't even have a name for her, but I saw her picture, and she looks like trouble. Like she's just one of these people that it's like, what was her name? The one for Trump. That she was a porn star, and what was her? You know who I'm talking about?
Stormy Daniels.
No, that's
Stormy
not
Daniels.
Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels.
Oh,
that's a real thing.
No, I get it, but it's like she just come on. You're a porn star. What are you talking? What man of that stature does not go and
I mean,
go a little crazy every now and again?
Right, but like
she's just trying to get a free payout, you know?
No,
I'm not saying that it was correct.
I think she's not the one suing at this point. I think it's the company that he was working for at the time, because he like made a bunch of false checks to be able to pay off this, because he had.
Well, anyway, where I was going with this is that this one looks like Stormy. Like she looks like a hot blonde kind of, you know, beautiful girl. Makes so sense. On another complaint, a woman identified only as Jane Doe says that in 2003, when she was only 17 years old, Combs had her flown on his private jet to New York, where he and 2 other men gave her drugs and alcohol and raped her. Which is what you were saying earlier, right? It's about like, what am I taking at this point? First of all, how old is she?
No,
Look
at 17, it's like, where's the mom? Where's the dad? Parents. You just let your
Thank
kid,
you, Carlos,
you
for
just-
saying that.
You just let your kid go to like
Thank you.
Neverland and like think nothing was gonna happen.
Right. I that's a big thing that I always say. Like, I
That's
get
huge.
it. I get it. It's fun. It's a once in a lifetime thing. But listen, just let me sleep in the other room. If not, you're not going. It's that easy. Like, it's fun. This is why those kids are getting raped and all these stories are happening.
But yeah, I think it would be like one of those like R. Kelly things where it's like he definitely would have to pay for that because she was underage. So that is statutory rape, and that for sure.
Which I can totally see that being realistic, right? Like something like that really happened. Again, we go back to the Donald Trump. You have money, you have status, you have a position where people are going to be attracted to you
and
because of that.
That's the trafficking part. It's like why was she being flown over there if not to have sex? And they had already premeditated this by having like all the drugs they were going to give her. So that kind of like makes them.
Well, you know what was one thing that I did read when I was reading a little bit about this case preparing for the podcast on it was that one of the things that they did when they had all these women and all these parties that they were having is that they would let the women serve themselves the alcohol. So the bottle of vodka was there, whatever they were drinking, the rum. Go ahead, serve it. They would spike the juice. So when they were mixing their vodka with cranberry, that's what was spiked with roofies or whatever it is that they put in it to drug you.
The criminal case doesn't mention roofies though. It mentions GHB though.
What is that?
It's kind of like a rape drug, but it's kind of like a rape drug. It's just like
It's like roofies.
Yeah, but you remember.
So what's the point? If you remember, the point is for them not to remember.
No, yeah, but the point is that they become more docile, and they're like, "Oh, I did it under my own devices."
Oh, I got it. Like, hey, listen, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, they had ecstasy, marijuana, GHB, and psychedelic mushrooms.
Okay.
So I don't think the lineup is like threateningly. Like I don't feel like they were like giving them Rohypnol or anything. You know what I mean? They didn't find any of that, which that is like a clear sign that they were like drug.
Rohypnol is roofies.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you a pharmaceutical?
No, they just showed it the other day on Univision. They're like, "Watch out! They're giving out this drug. Watch out!" It's like, okay, and they call it roofies. It's like, don't buy it at the pharmacy on 79th Street. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird how they just
So then the last person that I mean, and there's a lot more people, right, that are coming out and they're putting out claims against Diddy, but then last one was a music producer called Lil Rod, Lil Lil Rod, Rodney Jones Jr., who says that Combs grabbed his genitals without consent and forced them to solicit sex workers and perform sex acts to the pleasure of Mr. Combs. Because there's a big underlining factor in all of this where it's that P. Diddy is actually a homosexual. And that's going to ruin his brand and everything that he's doing. And all the record labels that he has and all the money and all the business affiliations that he's going with, if it becomes out and he says he's a homosexual, which we can go back to like Ricky Martin. And I remember that being a big deal when Ricky Martin came out of the closet, you know. I think everybody just smelled it with Ricky Martin, you know. It was,
I mean, what if he's just bi? That makes sense.
and that's fine too, but I don't even think that that's going to help him. I don't think that any... I don't think that
little Nas X. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I don't think it'll hurt him. His demographics just get shifted. That's all that happens.
Okay, but that's not the way that he's thinking. Remember that he's old school, right? Like, how old is he? So.
Oh no, he's definitely thinking like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
Specifically, like,
right.
Oh yeah, my demographics just gonna get shifted.
Like I'm gonna lose my whole
because he's an entertainer,
audience.
so he knows how to entertain all groups.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like. Yeah, so he just like has to like turn up the reverb a little bit more and put like more like
And it's funny
electronic
because there's
music.
even a video in all of these different footages that are coming out right now where it's it's P Diddy's, is it his DJ like or his security guard, where it's Cuba Gooding. You know who Cuba Gooding is? Where Cuba Gooding is like
his son.
Whose son? P Diddy's son?
Yeah, P
What-
Diddy's son raped Cuba Gooding. Was it?
I don't know. I saw the video where it's, he's doing
Wait.
something on the computer and you can tell that Cuba is not like, he's not touching him like, hey, you're doing a good job. No, he's touching him like all seductively, the way that a man should not be touching another man.
Oh yeah. Was it P Diddy's son? Yeah.
I don't
think it was-
remember. I
think
thought it was like a security guy or something.
No, I think it was his P Diddy's son. Here, you wanna see the
Google it. Yeah, Google it.
I mean, no, this is like the best video I could find was Legal Eagle. He has a whole thing about P Diddy.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. You should have told me before. I would have read up a little bit about stuff there. I mean, I've been following it a little bit, right? On the, I saw.
Check it out.
Let's see. Put it toward the camera, and I will focus in on it. Yeah, put it there.
So sorry for that. But federal agents from Homeland Security joined local law enforcement to raid Sean Combs, aka Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami homes in what may be a sex trafficking investigation. You cannot make this up. And you might remember the DHS was also involved in the investigation of R. Kelly, which eventually led to his conviction on many different counts of very unseemly felonies. Law enforcement reportedly seized electronic devices and weapons, but we don't know exactly what the police were looking for during the search or if Combs is even the target.
You sure this isn't Diddy?
It is Diddy.
I knew it!
At least 5 people have now sued Combs for sexual assault, harassment, rape, and sex trafficking. His co-defendants include actor Cuba Gooding Jr., the president of Bad Boy Records, and Diddy's 2 adult sons. So what in the world is going on with Diddy? Well, the allegations against Combs started in late 2023 when several lawsuits were filed against him in New York court. But as we've talked about many times on this channel, in 2022, New York passed the Adult Survivors Act, which was meant to allow survivors of sexual assault.
By the way, because of the Fair Use Act, you're gonna have to chop up this thing.
Oh,
This
where I can't
video?
use it all?
No.
Well, I don't
You-
want to watch the whole thing.
you-
I just wanted to kind of get,
Right, no,
which
but-
I've seen it, by the way.
Oh, you already saw it?
I
Oh.
have seen it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's dive into it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did see
You can
that.
do more than 15 seconds of that on your video.
Okay, good to know. I didn't know that. You see.
Fair Use Act. You can do. That's how he just did the Parks and Recreation bit. He did not have to call them or ask permission
Right.
to do that.
15 seconds.
Fair Use Act. You can use 15 seconds of whatever you
Let's
want.
go.
Right?
I can do the rest.
Yeah.
Let's
You know what
go.
I'm saying?
So, so this music producer is talking about all of these, like, homosexual acts that P. Diddy is really very well known for. And then going back to different footages that are coming out right now in all the social media realms, you hear him talking and you're a little bit like, what you say, I think he's bisexual, 100%. Because clearly he likes women also, right? So, but he doesn't want to lose his fan base, the demographic that he's got going on, all the music.
Yeah, and I
you
think-
don't know higher up above also, like how they're stopping him. Like, hey, you can't come out. You cannot come out.
That kind of when you get to that kind of like money and power, the next step is like kind of like flexing your power on other people's to like break other people, like, you know what I mean, like their ideals of like, oh, like you're straight or like God, and like, you know what I mean. And that, in my opinion, that's one of the things that comes with like having so much power, is that at some point you're gonna have the desire to like see if you have more power than someone else's ideas, if that makes any sense.
I do. I think I understand what you're saying. I think I do. However, I do think also that when you are at that level of power and positioning where you're really at that 1 percentile, there's also an enormous amount of pressure that you have, where even though you say this is not who I truly am, but it's a lot of fun, and maybe that's why you kind of are like, hey, let's do like an underground party where it's like we have gay acts because this is what I'm into, right? Because I need to kind of be myself for a little bit, even if it's underground, in order for me to keep lying, to keep all these wealthy, right, people above me.
I don't really think it has much to do with the like homosexual community at all. I think it has to do.
No. Listen, I'm saying homosexual
I
because I don't want to say
I know,
pedophilia.
no, trust me when I say
Yeah.
this. I think it has more to do with the straight community. It's like gay, gay, if you will, like kind of like seeing them break kind of becomes a kink to the gay. Like I've heard of like gay dudes saying that like their favorite like sport is like converting like straight dudes to gay, because like there's like a kind of like a almost like a version for the very first time feel to or sense to the fact
Like
of,
the whole act
right
with that person.
of like kind of like breaking somebody's like beliefs or like making them be like or you know what I mean, because like I do feel like homophobia is so inscribed into so many cultures and it's normalized by so many cultures.
Normalized?
No, homophobia. You can go to church and hear how if you're gay, God hates fags. You
Oh,
can
that's
go
what
to-
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Right, like the
that's-
hatred
so that's
toward it.
normalized.
Oh, right. I gotcha.
So-
Right, that's where I was going with it
so
also.
homophobia is it in that sense. Is that
It's a plane?
Wow.
Yeah.
You have really good mics.
We only have the best on the Bear Experiment podcast.
Sure we do.
Be careful if you burp. We're going to hear it.
All right. I do feel like in when it comes to what is the American elite specifically, there is kind of like this resentment towards like the working class lower like peasant who's like all pure and like is not gay and it doesn't eat meat on Fridays and like or is wholly vegan. There's
Yeah, like
there's this pressure to like break like do
well, they're following this
exert
religious
force.
almost cult, right? That's been
Right.
ingrained in us. And you know, I respect people that follow it. I really do. I was raised in it.
Same.
I more power to you if you still believe it. You know what? If you still have the glasses on, you know, I think that sometimes I wish that I still had the glasses on as well, because it's an ugly world that we live in, and it's a lot of ugly shit that you have to come to terms with when you do take those glasses off.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the first one is like, do you believe in evolution? Do you believe you are a monkey? How much exactly like a monkey, full of wild drives and wild
We're animals.
needs?
We're animals.
Yeah, we are. We really are.
Yeah.
So I do feel like the underlying problem of what we're talking about, like, because I do feel like you're pinpointing that there's homosexuality is being used as a tool by the some elites in the entertainment industry as a way to like keep people quieter or whatever. But I think
Not necessarily. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say, and maybe I'm not articulating myself correctly, is that more people than not are bisexual or homosexual. And even though we're living, for example, in a city like Miami, where we're so diverse and homosexuality is more accepted than not, I think that there's still a really big stigma, right? And now we go to Hollywood, where it's even bigger there than here. And there's still a lot of people with a lot of money that are not jiving with homosexuality. And they very much can be gay themselves. But there's just that illusion that's been taught to them and ingrained to them since they were young, or it's wrong, it's from the devil, it's supposed to be a man and a woman. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of believe that a man should be with a woman and a woman should be with a man. I kind of
make a baby, that's got to happen for sure.
Right. I'm glad you said that, and you're not thinking that a man can have a baby. because a lot of people are talking nonsense like that, and that's where this conversation gets weird. Then,
yeah, I mean,
because
like if science gets there though, like
if you're gay, you're gay, but don't tell me that you're a man and you're a homosexual and now you want to be a woman and you want to cut off your genitalia.
I mean, isn't everybody a woman though? Like men, like men are just women that like keep on growing. Like you can see the fetus. Like it all starts out as a vagina. We all start out as women. It's just the men, like the Y or X chromosome or whatever makes it so that, like it just keeps on growing. So like I don't know. I feel like we're all the same gender. Like I feel like there is no dichotomy. And it doesn't really matter. Like, do you think that like women that can't make babies are any less of a woman than you are?
No.
Like I don't think a man with a bigger penis than
But
me
why is it
any
that a
more of
woman?
man
Okay.
than
Oh,
I am.
no, correct. So I don't think that they're any less of a woman than I am because I did have a child. However, why is it that that woman that cannot have a baby is so affected and depressed by the fact that she cannot have a baby and she really wanted one? So explain that part to me.
Cause I mean, I would say because of like peer pressure. Cause
Just societal beliefs or whatever.
Seeing like
You don't think that it's a biological need that her body has for being a
100%,
female?
100%. Don't get me wrong. Instincts, like we gotta.
You're a man, and you're a man, and I'm a woman, and I'm a woman.
As a man, and either man or a woman, we all have two instincts, which is eat and fuck. Everything else just kind of happens. Sleep, we all
sleep.
are. We
I
can.
think
We'll
sleep would
fall
fall.
to sleep. We'll fall asleep. But as far as instincts, things that we must do is eat and fuck. Nothing else. And maybe like run away from tiny little black things that are running around quickly, like the primate fear of rats, or like little small instincts, or like or snakes. It's like we have these primate instincts, and so like eat, fuck, and be scared of certain patterns.
Reptiles
and
or
those
whatever.
things are ingrained in us, like us.
Like primitive, like a primitive ingredient. Yeah.
Primitively. And I don't think being a man or a woman has either anything to do with it. I think like, and when you start getting into like the debates of like people that are very concerned about it, I think it has more to do with like ideological upbringings. It's like your idea of what should be. It's like, oh, I mean, okay, but what is different. Like I understand, like you seek perfection, but reality is perfect already, and it is a certain other way, which is like the gender thing. Like pink wasn't even a woman's color until like the Barbie.
Yeah, that was created by society, 100%.
So like I feel like the Barbie movie kind of like really emphasized it, like really like put it out there. It's like, yeah,
well, that was also
it's
like the whole branding of Barbie. It's like, you know, the girl, the Barbie, and,
right, and that's what we think a woman
and
bearing
who carried that. I haven't even
a baby bearing human is. It's
I
like,
haven't even seen the Barbie movie, but I've read a lot about it because I have a hard time watching it. My daughter did go see it with her father. That's kind of her thing with him. They go to the movies. And everything that I read about that movie is that Ken controlled the movie. Like he was the one running the movie. It wasn't Barbie. It was Ken. You know?
I mean,
I haven't seen it.
I'm
waiting for it to come out on Amazon
She did
to
great.
watch it.
Oh,
Margot, I think she's
she
so
did,
hot.
She did amazing.
She's
She did great.
beautiful.
She did
But so is he. My God.
And what I liked about
Ryan
it is
Gosling.
what I liked about the movie. At first, I thought it was gonna be like a children's movie, but like what they were talking about like the patriarchy, and like they were talking about like ideology. And,
really?
And like it instilled genders, and like, oh, you women do this and men do this, and they were like making it like it was really good. I thought it was a great like display of like, of kind of like the
my daughter liked it.
The dichotomy, like the mental like made up. We make up, like that's not real. Like women don't drive pink things, like they don't fart unicorns and butterflies. That's a lie. Like
women don't fart.
You know what I mean?
Women don't fart. Women don't shit.
Right,
and they drive big cars. It's true.
Exactly.
It is a fact.
And the reality is that like no, like I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I don't think there really. It's just like an idea of perfection, but the reality is a mix of both. There is no dichotomy, and like existential reality, there is no yes or no. It's just like a wave, and you are witnessing a certain point of it, but that's just what you're witnessing it. Like
Right.
if you look at it from just slightly above, you see that it's like a repeating pattern, and you were just looking at like a node on a wave, either the top one or the low one, and you were like, oh, that's woman, or that's man, and a woman, and that's man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, I don't think it really goes into that deep, especially not yet. Like I feel like as a society, as a civilization, as a organism, as a entity, we try very hard to keep both ourselves like equal, even though we're not. Like women do have a more important role on society than men do, like far more important, which is like keeping it alive, like burying the next generation. You know what I mean?
It is difficult being a female. I'm not gonna lie. It really is. It's a lot of pressure because what's happening in today's world is that you could talk about, right, evolution and everything that's happening. Before, it was like the man would go out, he would find the food, he would kind of provide, and the woman was home. She was making sure you were eating, your kids were fed, your kids were taken care of, but she didn't have to worry about not being safe. You were going to take care of her. Women came in the 70s, they started burning their bras, and I want to fuck a bitch up for doing that because we're still having to do that. Now we're working our asses off. We're making more money than men in most cases because we are resilient and badasses.
Yeah, there's more college educated women than men in this country.
Yeah.
I love that.
But then at the same time, who do you think the kid is going to? I'm not saying that a kid doesn't love a father. My child loves her father. But a child gets sick. I will never forget a time. She must have been like 3 years old. And we were in Disney World. And it was her 3rd birthday. And we went all out with, the Disney hotel and the breakfast and all the bullshit that you buy ahead of time. And she got a really bad cold. And the conversation took place like, should we even do this at this point? And we were like, what's the worst that can happen? Let's just make the best of it, right? Every time we were in those 2-hour lines, do you think she wanted to be on her father, who she adores? No. She wanted to be with me, and I was like, go with your dad. She just wanted to be on me the whole time. Because there's a maternal instinct that a sick child will have. When they get cranky and they get sick and there's a problem, they go to
they're
mom.
hearing your voice for 9 months before they ever come out into the real world.
When they're having fun and they're going to go watch Barbie, they're with dad. And it's okay. That's fine. I was like that with my mother and my father as well. But it's also like I still have to do all the other part of life that a man has to do. And it gets overwhelming. You know what I mean? So anyway, I digress. Let's dive into the pedophilia part that's coming out with Usher. Should we or should we keep this out? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
What? I didn't know Usher had
So
a thing.
Usher, he basically had Usher for an entire year in the 90s. Well, the 90s was pretty much when I was in high school. At 14 years old, lived with Diddy in his home. And in 2016, he had an interview that surfaced with Howard Stern where Usher said, I got a chance to see some things. I went there to see the lifestyle. I saw it. I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was looking at. I had curiosity of my own. I just didn't understand it. Imagine he's 14 fucking years old. But it was pretty wild and it was crazy. He's never spoken bad about Diddy. He's never said that Diddy molested him. It's never come out, but there's a couple of videotapes like this one with Howard Stern where they're surfacing, right? And then the other one is with Justin Bieber, where according to a YouTube video that's on Justin Bieber's page, for 48 hours, Justin Bieber's parents, now we go back to Justin Bieber's parents, gave him full custody. You know, because Diddy was actually coming out saying, I got custody of Bieber. And this is when Bieber was really blowing up as a kid, as a 14-year-old, you know, with the side little sweep that he had going. And according to this video, I don't know if it's been taken down or not, he was just saying that he was going to get Bieber a bunch of girls and they were going to be alone. And, all this like kinky shit was going to start taking place, which, again, if somebody leaves my child in your care, this is weird. However, I could see how anybody in a position of stature with a 14-year-old kid is like, we're going to bring in some hookers and you're losing your virginity. Like, I can see how that can happen. You know, I just don't want it to be. But then again, it's like, are the parents okay with this? Because I would never send my child to anybody's house. Like, I would never have sent my child to Neverland because she loves Michael Jackson and he's inviting her over for a sleepover. I just think that's weird as fuck. Like, who does that? What parent allows that? A parent that's so enthralled by this, like, limelight and right, Stargate.
Right. So I guess you're kind of like looping back to what I was talking about, like us being like pattern-seeking animals. Like, we look for patterns.
Yeah.
And one that we fall under is the one of like the leader or like the superstar or the celebrity, where it's like we see someone as like more than,
Where they're bigger than us. They're
Right.
better than us.
right. And so
So you listen to them.
even the parents might
It's like a queen. The Queen of England
Yeah,
says
like-
that we can do that.
like imagine your favorite musician, you know, like, I mean, like, gives you free passes and take your daughter, she's going to see the Hard Rock, it'll be great, like, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah, but I'm there, but alone, right? Like, that's weird.
yeah, so like in
But I get it.
yeah,
No,
you know what I
I
mean?
get it. I do.
Because it
I-
does, and the fact that it does happen kind of has to like make you
No,
get
it's
it.
like-
You know what I mean? Like, because you, at the end of the day, like nobody was trying to have their children hurt. They were trying to have their children opposite, like have a really
Or
good time,
they were
you know what I
trying
mean?
to see, like, is there any type of association now where my kid can, like,
Yeah,
develop
exactly.
and climb to that level,
Right.
because now it's like it elevates the entire family. And I think there's a little bit of that gimmick as well that takes into effect. So I was talking to you a little bit earlier about during my era of growing up as a teenager, there was two really big child stars called Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. And Corey Feldman, for years and years, and it's funny, like, Google him, because you're going to love it, you know. Corey Feldman was obsessed with Michael Jackson, okay? Like, obsessed. He used to go to his house, stay in Neverland Ranch, dance just like him. Like, watch his videos and you're going to understand what I'm talking about, okay? The guy dressed like him. The guy became Michael Jackson. And he is adamantly always saying that Michael Jackson was never a child molester, that he never did anything to any kids, that that's all a fabricated lie from the media. However, his best friend Corey Haim, who in my opinion was the cuter one, I always liked him, was a victim of pedophilia in Hollywood when he was only 14 by several music producers and movie, you know, moguls. That's what I'm trying to say.
A module.
And during a very famous movie that he had, which is called Lucas, which is a great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it, he was getting raped behind the trailer constantly by Charlie Sheen, you know, who has had a lot of very derogatory instances in the media where the guy completely has passed out because of drugs and coke, and he was just like, you know, tiger blood, and, you know, the guy was funny as shit. I get it. He was a complete hysteria, having sex with porn stars and, you know, contracting AIDS. I mean, it got to that point. Like, he got HIV.
Two and a half men.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently he was like 19 and Corey Haim was like 14 years old, and they were having sex. Corey Haim didn't want to do it because he was a kid, but he did because he felt that he kind of had to, and he fell into a very victimized life of drugs and addiction, and he OD'd. I mean, it's said that it's like from pneumonia, but the guy really just became like a big crackhead. Which is what usually happens with all these trauma cases.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just plays into like the mental health problem. Like, everybody has a first time, you know. Like, I think everybody kind of has like weird shit in their past. Like, if you look at it and like somebody were to analyze this, like, You were doing what? This person did what? Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's just better to have it like out in the open. I think it's good that like all this stuff is coming out. Like that's what I like about technology. It's that like it can show you like the nature of the organism and the why of certain things. Like why you know what I mean?
That's the cat. Bojack. That's Bojack going crazy.
I love your cat.
Yeah.
He wanted all the love.
You want him? You want to keep him?
No, I can't. I have like 7 cats already. No, for real. I have like 7
You
cats.
look like a cat guy.
Yeah. I'm wearing cat right now.
So yeah, this whole story with Corey Haim, like I've been hearing about this child pedophilia controversy that nobody wants to kind of talk about, right? Where Corey Feldman keeps saying it's happening, and now it's all coming to light. And it's what you're saying, like with years and years and years, everything's going to come to light. Like even with us, like we are those people that in 50 years, we're going to be the ones on record saying certain things that they're going to be like, oh my God, these people were talking about what we're reading about in books.
Before it was illegal to talk about that, look at them talking about it like it was all good. You know what I mean?
All right, so let's speed this up a little bit because if not, we're going to talk for 1,700 hours. So I was going to mention here about like 50 Cent who hates him because I think that Diddy has a kid, because Diddy has kids with like 20 baby mamas because he's like Diddy like that. And I think one of them is he's dating his ex-baby mama. Like it's some sort of like association like that where he's jealous. And Fiddy is like, oh, I'm doing a docu-series and all the shit that's happening with you, like R. Kelly. You know, you're going down, and I'm bringing everybody down with me. And he's already doing dollar signs. Cause Fiddy's like that. Fiddy don't play around, you know?
Hell yeah. I mean, good. I mean, as long as he doesn't get shot 9 times again.
That was like back in the day, right? When he was drug dealing. Now he's not drug dealing. Now he's operating with the big drug dealers. He's not operating with the thugs. Now he's with the big drug dealers because it's still
with the people consuming the drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Up there.
All right, so let's talk about Cat Williams. And I just went to his show, and I've been following him a lot because I saw the the podcast that he did with Shay Shay. Did you see that one? Mm-mm. You only saw the one with Joe Rogan?
No, I've only heard that Cat Williams said some shit. I didn't even know
my God, you have to watch it.
What?
It's amazing. So Cat Williams, you actually remind me a lot of him with the way that you think. Because, like, you're behaving today right now with the way you're talking to me.
Nice.
You know, because you're looking for, like, I think that the more that I have you, the more you're going to, like, let loose. But he's one of these guys that he's just like, how the hell you gonna jump into the ocean if you ain't never had no trunks on?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And you're just like, what the hell does that mean? Like you'll see some crazy shit like that where you're just like, okay. So he's been talking about on the Shay Shay show, he went all out with a bunch of shit, including this homosexual undercover conspiracy theory that's happening in Hollywood right now with the Hollywood dresses, which what's his name?
I don't know. That sounds to me like a conspiracy.
I don't know.
Because like drag is a thing. Drag is definitely a thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not a normal thing. It's a thing that they're trying to make it's bigger, but it's not. It's actually uncomfortable.
Okay, so like there was this drag queen that said something that like really hit it home to me. But when you look at like what you're wearing, like right now, to someone somewhere, what you're wearing is like, oh my God, I can see.
To like a truck driver?
No, like
with a hat and a jacket. But I see what you're saying.
Like some high end status person from the Saudi Arabia who's like, why are you wearing that? Like in public, like next to a man, like where it's like, to them, what you're wearing is drag. Or but like the what the drag queen was saying is that like everybody, like, no, it doesn't matter if you're wearing a blue collared shirt with shorts on and sneakers. Everything you're wearing is drag, because everything you're wearing is not natural. Like, humans are not wearing clothes in nature. Like, we're like hair.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with
So
this.
I feel like everything is drag. I honestly feel
I
like
need to try to keep up with you sometimes.
I really feel like everything is drag. And
Okay.
and when it comes,
You know what? Like,
when-
that perspective, the way that you just explained it to me, like, I'm following you right now. And I could be like, okay, I could see this.
and when it comes to entertainers like or like Robin Williams or
Mrs. Doubtfire.
anybody, freaking Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey, any of them, where when they do these roles in dresses, or like it's just to hit home where like psychologically we're weak, where we're creating that dichotomy, like man, woman, like this is proper, this is right, like that's not proper, that's not right. So I feel like that's just like a side effect of the entertainment industry, where they're trying to hit topics that are sensitive to the audience. And I feel like that's one of those where it's like gender identities become like one of those things where it's like, whoa, that's not normal. Like, what am I looking at? Why am I hard? Or whatever.
So Dave Chappelle is one of the big wigs in the industry, African American, top comedian, multi-millionaire, walked out of a contract worth, I think it was like $50 million with Comedy Central, because his conspiracy theory, or the conspiracy theory, is that men that are forced, African American men that are forced to wear dresses in movies in Hollywood, are part of the cult, where they are getting initiated for the first time for homosexual anal sex, right? So he walked away from the contract because he says that I wasn't going to do that. Cat Williams is another one that walked away from the contracts and walked away from all these parties and all of these associations, and is calling people out because he says he's not a part of it. But then some examples of some of these movies, which again, I'm with you, where it's like, it's part of art, right? Like, if we're going to make fun of like Mrs. Doubtfire with Robin Williams, like, I would never think that Robin Williams had a gay bone in his body. However, I think he's a comedic genius, right? But he's white, so he's not on the list. So I'm going to talk to you about the black people on the list. These are the Negroes on the list, and it's Martin Lawrence, Big Mama's House, Eddie Murphy, Norbit, Tyler Perry, Medea's Movies, all of the Medea's movies, Jamie Foxx in Living Color, and Wesley Snipes in To Wong Fu, and the Wayans brothers in White Chicks, right? So, I mean, I do remember the scandal with Eddie Murphy trying to pick up a transvestite in the middle of the night where he got busted by the police, and then he said he was just trying to help her out. Or was he trying to pick her up to have sex, right?
Going back to the Dave Chappelle. In David Letterman, he kind of opens up about like exactly the moment when he left Comedy Central, when he like gave up his $50 million contract or whatever.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
But he also has a lot of money in
Right.
order to be able to give up that amount of money.
Of course.
Because I can see how somebody wouldn't do it.
Right.
And they would be like, I'm falling it. How
Right.
many times do I got to do it? Oh, how hard? It's not going to hurt.
And, it was because in one of the scenes, he was... I think he was like doing like a black face, or like the crackhead face.
Yeah.
One of those. And
They went at him about the blackface.
no. When he did the scene, one of the producers laughed, but the way that he laughed, it was and I love this. It was, he perceived it as being, he was laughing about the wrong thing. He wasn't laughing at his comedy. He was laughing at little black man like dressed like a chimp, like doing like yes, so man, so like it was at that moment that he like saw it and he's like,
And he
nah,
switched. He's
fuck
like,
you.
I'm not falling into
you
your
think I'm a
shit.
little clown? Fuck you. Which is, I get it. Like I wholeheartedly get it. Like what. Cause yeah, especially as like a entertainment when you're like super vulnerable and you're like doing these
Yeah.
like fucking roles and then like you hear somebody like fucking like looking at you like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, I absolutely get it from that perspective, where it again it is these moguls, it is these like people that are seen as like some sort of gatekeepers into the industry because there is no like regulation or whatever for the industry.
Yeah.
Although there is.
There really isn't. There
I mean,
really isn't.
It's like a whole thespians guild and all that shit.
But it really, listen, money
Right,
runs
money
money, right?
Money
Like my
talks.
father, God, I miss him like crazy. Like he would always tell me, "Mamita, follow the money." Like you want to know what's happening, and he's calling the shots. Follow the money. Follow the money. Where's the money coming from? That's what's happening right there. Is it from Israel? Like if you want to get into politics, follow the money. All right, so let's finish this. So linking this trial to the Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein. It's so funny how like it's like Weinstein Epstein. It's like that's gonna be a wrap. Nobody's done it yet because I'm next. I'm gonna do it. The trial. So Harvey Weinstein.
They might get you for being anti-Semitic.
I don't know. That's
sound
fine. I
Jewish.
might get canceled. Maybe. You know what? It's fine. So Harvey Weinstein was a pig, obviously, and that was during the whole Me Too movement where it was developed. And so many women came forward where he was.
What are some of his good movies?
Name them. Name a movie. He was part of it. The Weinstein Productions. Like that's how involved he was in Hollywood. Like you were it.
Hey Siri, what are some of Harvey Weinstein's best movies?
Weinstein Productions.
I found this on the web.
Captain, Mike, Crossmare, The Great Debaters, Beautiful Girls, Emma.
Like name a movie.
Pulp
He did it. Name a
He was a film
movie.
producer for Pulp Fiction.
Name a
Gangs
movie.
of New
He
York.
ran Hollywood.
Yeah.
So what he was doing is like every girl, which I can totally see myself doing that. Like, okay. And he would ask everybody to go, all the girls, meet me in my room because I need to talk to you. And it's like, that is weird, right? Like, why am I going to your room? But you're so young and you're so desperate that you don't want to piss a person off, right? So at that point, it's kind of like, okay, let me go. And then what he would do is try to take advantage of you. Whether it was you didn't want to have sex, if he had oral sex with you or you had oral sex with him, he was fine with it. Like the guy was a pig, right? So it's like all these women, it was dozens and dozens and dozens of women coming forward, including celebrities. Angelina Jolie was a big one where Brad Pitt apparently wanted to punch him in the face. No, not with Angelina Jolie, with his ex-girlfriend, Gwyneth Paltrow. Like the guy was a pig. It was like every single female, he was trying to have sex with her. Or it's too much. It's like, come on, dude. Like, come on. Like you're gonna get busted. This is where greed is greed is greed. It's like Wall Street, the movie, you know? Like you're gonna get busted. It's like Bernie Madoff. You're gonna get busted. So
I mean, I think it's, but like it's weird. It reminds me of, like the 2008 like financial crisis. It's like
that's what I'm saying. The Bernie Madoff.
like,
Bernie Madoff.
right? All these people,
Yeah.
all these people that like,
That's exactly what I just brought up.
that bankrupted the bank, the system. Immediately, as soon as it's all over, they're put in power again.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about, like us being like pattern-seeking animals, and like absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's like it's inevitable. This is just the case that got caught, because most of them like everything's dismissed. Like most of them,
Yeah.
like people are like, nah, he's just trying to get a quick payday.
So
Payday.
yeah.
You
So
know?
this guy's in jail for. He got convicted for, I think it was like 1 or 2 of the multi-dozen rapes that he had. And he has been convicted for 23 years as of 2020. So this this fucker is gonna like die in jail, right? Because you know, at first he was all strong when he was a producer. Now you see him in a walker. It's like, let me just show my weakness to see if they let me out. So then we have the other sick fuck, Jeffrey Epstein, who federal officials identified 36 girls, some as young as 14. Sexually abusing them, videotaping them, prostituting them. A lot of big names associated with his private plane and his private island, the Lolita Express.
And you were talking about like how women are like this is like a men's affair, and it's like Ghislaine Maxwell was running the whole show. She got him the girls. He couldn't get girls. He couldn't find these girls. It was Ghislaine Maxwell.
It's and that's interesting that
She
you just
got
brought that
him-
up because
she
it's
got
true.
him the girls.
Because he wouldn't have been able to do
she
that. It
got
has to
him-
be a
yeah.
girl
No, and that's-
who looked like her, who's somewhat
You know what I mean?
the girl next door kind of
You know what I
look.
mean? Yeah, you know. What
You
I mean?
know,
So like, it's not
because she
it's-
doesn't
it's
look.
not
She doesn't
a-
look like anybody crazy.
It's not an exclusively male thing to be like so
I don't
wildly
know. She's
perverted.
a sicko. She's a
I think
sicko.
I think it's just like in women, like the perversion is more socially accepted. Like in a man, like you have to be in the right setting for you to get away with like
Oh yeah,
like saying
100%.
like what a woman can say on the fly on a Wednesday, and people be like,
It's funny because you reminded me now. There was a comedian that says this joke where he's like,
"Oh yeah, the girl takes off her bra, and the cop will be like, ma'am, put those away." But like if a man shows off his balls, he'll be like,
You're going to
"Get
jail."
that fucking pervert."
No, this guy starts talking. This guy's like, "Do you want to understand the double standard that's happening? Let a woman go up to a woman with a baby and be like, 'Oh my God, you're so cute. You're the most beautiful baby I've ever seen. Oh my God, I just want to take you home with me all night. You're the most beautiful baby ever.'" And starts, throwing kisses to the baby.
And now
Now a guy comes to do that. "Oh my God, I just love you so much. I just want to take you home and take you home forever." It's like they're calling the cops on you if you do that. As they should, because I think I would also be like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? But if it's a woman, we don't think that a woman is thinking that way. But the kids are getting crazy. So some of the people on the Lolita Express is Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, Bill Gates, astronaut John Glenn, and of course Prince Andrew. That was a really big one.
Did you
where
know that also Stephen Hawking was on there?
Stephen Hawking? How did
Stephen.
that guy have sex? How did that
Push
guy?
me and then just touch me.
How did that guy? Can you explain that to me? He was not having sex.
No, for real. Like,
How does that? How does that guy have sex? That's like oral, 100%.
He went to the island. They rolled out the tracks for him on
Well,
the
he
sand.
also
they had to roll.
He
out
also
tracks for
cheated
him.
on his wife with his nurse while he was paraplegic, basically, right? With MS.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe and it's like
He was also like a brain, so maybe it is a mind
it's like
game.
an emotional quotient thing where it's like the more intellect the more brain matter you use, the more sex you're gonna want. It appears what's his name, Albert Einstein. That motherfucker was a player, dude.
Was he? I know nothing about him, so I can't even talk to you
Children,
about
they
him.
hated him because he ended up like
He was like a pimp.
he ended up
He
marrying
was like Diddy.
14-year-old girl.
He was like Diddy.
Just like Charles Chaplin. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like
Charlie Chaplin.
And-
Didn't he have like 10 wives or something?
And I think it's just it's not like they're outliers. It's not like, oh my God, that's so crazy. They did no. I think it's.
But it was also a
it's just-
different era.
The animal's still the same. I think what it shows is like us in extremes. Like in you at an extreme. Like if you were allotted like. And you don't you think that you'd be able to hold it up. You swear.
Absolutely not.
Right, but if you had been born in 19
When the Bear Podcast experiment blows up, I will still be humble.
I feel you. I feel you wholeheartedly. But I feel like it doesn't matter who had been born in Germany when Hitler was born, it could have been anybody. Like if it were Gandhi that had been born and he had to live what Hitler had to live, like go into the First World War, get gassed in the face, like I feel like the monsters that we see are like like these outliers, these like people of interest that like are like because of their actions. They're just showing something about us. They're like showing something back to us, and I think it's important to like notice that, like not to like give in to the scapegoat mentality where like, oh, okay, so like we're gonna like hang P Diddy, so it's like we're now never gonna see no more pedophiles again, and then we forget all about Epstein and
right.
Weinstein.
I just think that they're trying to make an example out of somebody right now, because now we go back to the Me Too movement, and it's just like it's kind of like a cycle of everything that's happening right now with evolution, right? So it's like, oh, let's make a change right now with. Listen, I'm a female, and we were just talking about, in the 70s with, women's rights and, burning your bra. I love having the freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do it, but I'm also like, but it doesn't take away from my biological obligation. Because as a female, unless you don't give a fuck. And there's a lot that do, where they just...
those are real people. People that don't give a fuck.
It does happen. It does happen, right? Where it's like, I'd
rather... With some of the medicated people I'm telling you about, they have to be medicated.
Maybe.
To like,
because I do think that as a woman, you would never... And again, everybody's different. I'm not going to say never, because I don't know. I could only tell you from what the majority of the circle of what I hang around, and from what I've seen and what I was raised with, I think that a female... genuinely, when they have a child and an offspring, let's say like you have a kid when you get pregnant when you're 15, and you get pregnant and you give it up for adoption because you don't have an abortion, okay? You're always going to yearn for that kid that you gave away, and you're always going to wonder, what the hell happened to my kid? Is my kid okay? I hope that it's in a good family. It was a girl, I remember. Like, that's always going to haunt you, unless you're like so detached from reality, because that's an extension of you.
There are so many iterations though, like 7 billion people in the world right now. So I think it was like 8 billion people. It's just like probability dictating the amount of different scenarios that can occur. Mandate,
and everything is like perspective, right? Like everything is your perspective.
You would see it as fucking like wild and awful, but from like where they're coming from, this is like the most humane thing that they could do.
Correct. Yeah, I get it. But okay, we're gonna be on here for 5 hours if we keep talking. This was awesome. This is like
After Hours with Monica and Carlos. Oh,
on the bear experiment. Carlos, I love you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for helping me with this. Today. Again, I'm still trying to get up some equipment that I bought, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And
more than a pleasure. I'm honored again that you
I did buy the kukuruchi for you.
I ate it all. I ate the whole thing.
Thank you. And I bought this for you and everything. Isn't that nice? Like the presentation that I did.
Pretty good.
I'm working on it. I'm working on my game.
You're doing top tier stuff. I like it.
I love it. Thank you. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate all of your knowledge, and I appreciate you just sitting with me and talking some shit, because that's what we're doing.
I love you, Monica. Thank you for listening. And I'm happy to talk. Yes.
We'll do another one for sure. You're definitely a fun one to do one with. But anyway, guys, if you like what you saw, share, like, say hello. All that helps a little bit. I'm trying to grow the YouTube channel. I need to get on Spotify and all the other audio apps. I haven't even done that yet, because I'm still trying to I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go with this, and every time that I do one, I'm feeling it a little more. This was a good one. This is kind of like the direction that I want to go also. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Any comments, any thoughts on improvement? I'm always open and available to that, you know. And see you guys for the next episode, okay? Take care. Bye.
Later.